Today we're doing up some smoked pork shoulder on the Pit Boss vertical pellet smoker. We're going to be smoking at a little bit higher temperature today, between 250 and 275 degrees Fahrenheit. This will be the second time I'm doing a pork shoulder in the Pit Boss smoker. The difference today being that I'm using Pit Boss's new charcoal flavored pellets. I think they put out the best smoke of any pellet I've tried yet, so I want to see how that tastes on this pork. Then I'm using 3 different rubs like you've seen me do on a lot of my other videos, and I'm doing 2 pork butts instead of 1 this time. So let's show you these ingredients. I have 2 7.5 pound pork butts, or pork shoulders, call them whatever you like. And then I'm using these 3 rubs. So I've got the Heath Riles honey rub, I've got the Heath Riles garlic jalapeno rub, and the Heath Riles pecan rub today. The 3 of them go really good together. I've done it on ribs before, so I know it's gonna be good on this pork. So let's get these opened up, get them rubbed, and get them in the smoker. All right, so we'll just start with this guy right here. Gonna put it on this cookie tray to help keep my table clean. Let's cut this open. And we'll get it out of here. All right, that's looking pretty good. Nice marbling. It's hard to tell in those cryovac packages what you're gonna get, but I'm not trimming any of this. This is not a competition. The only competition around here is who gets the first bite, and you know who that is. So, nice fat cap. We're gonna go fat cap down. It's gonna face towards our heat source, protect the meat, and help keep it tender. You can see nice layers of fat through here. Looks pretty good. So let's get our first layer of rub on. So as a base, I like to start with this Heath Riles garlic jalapeno rub. If you taste it just right out of the bottle, yeah, it's a little spicy, but by the time this cooks down and all that fat's rendered, and by the time you eat it, you're not gonna have any real spiciness to it. You'll have a nice jalapeno flavor though, which I really like on this. So we're gonna get all the sides. The whole fat cap, even though it's gonna render. Might still be some flavor left by the time we take these out of here on that side. All right, so the second layer is gonna be this pecan rub. So same thing. Try and keep the wind from blowing this all over the place. And I'm trying to coat this heavy so that I can't see any of the meat. All right, then I'll just kind of pat it in. There's plenty of moisture on this. I didn't need to use a binder today, but you could use mustard or whatever you want. Worcestershire. Pat those 2 in. And then I'm gonna finish it off with this honey rub. It's really good stuff. It's the same process. We're gonna make sure all the sides are nice and coated. Get that bee out of here, come on. Got the bees coming to get their honey. All right, so we got the first one done. Let me get the second one done, and then we'll talk about getting it in the smoker. All right, so I've got both of these pork shoulders, pork butts, whatever you like to call them, rubbed up. As you see here, the one on your right was the first one I did, so it's had a little bit more time to sweat than the other one. And so now we're gonna put them in the smoker. I'm doing it at 275 degrees today, and it'll go up and down from there a little bit, but I'm going a little bit hotter than normal because these are gonna take a long time. And I'm already getting started late in the day. It's about 12 o'clock. I am on vacation, but I need to get this done before it gets dark so we can show you guys what it looks like. Otherwise, I'd be doing 250, maybe 225. So let's get them in. All right, get the door open. See, fat side down. Again, fat side down. And then I will be probing these today, so I'm going to put this right in the center. Same with this one. Get both these cords to the side. Get this door closed. Then we'll plug them into these ports. Turn this guy on. You can see that they're at 39 degrees right now. And then I'm just gonna let these go to about 160, 165 degrees. That's the point where they're really not gonna take on much more smoke. So I can monitor that from the inside now. These are each 7.5 pounds. So normally you wanna do a time allowance for about an hour per pound. So we gotta expect this to take about 8 hours, but that could vary. So we'll come back in a couple hours and show you how it looks. All right, so it's been 1 hour, and this is interesting. Probe 1 is at 100 degrees, and probe 2 is at 86. It's kind of the opposite of what I thought it would be. Probe 1 is the pork butt that's on the top. Probe 2 is the one on the bottom. I would have thought the one closer to the heat source would be heating up quicker, but that's not the case. So let's get this open, and I'm gonna reverse them on the racks. So let's see how we're looking here. Nice color. The rub is still wet coming off on the glove. I wouldn't spritz this until it's set and not coming off. Put that there. This one up. Now I got to get this one down. Let's close it back up. And we'll let this pit boss keep pumping out the smoke. We'll come back in another hour, see how it looks, see if we need to spritz it or if we can just let it go. So we're at about the 2.5 hour mark. We're looking at 129 degrees on the bottom one now and 115 degrees on the top one. Let's take a look at them. All right, let's take a look at the bottom one first. Nice bark starting to develop. Hopefully you guys can see the color on that. Nice dark bark. Lots of juice here up on top, which is basting this thing. So I'm not gonna spritz this at all. And now let's take a look at the one up top. Same thing. The rub has hardened and we're starting to develop that nice bark on there. Little pocket of juice up here. Sides look good. So let's get it back in. And we'll come back when it hits 165. It'll probably be another hour and a half, 2 hours before that happens. And then we're gonna wrap them up. And we just hit the 4 hour mark. I took out our first one here. This one hit 167 degrees. Got a real nice color. Take a look at this. Nice bark all around. Get some juice on top, but for the most part, this bark is set. I've got the fat side down inside of this pan. And if you take a look, my other one is trailing behind. It's only at 149 degrees, but that's okay. We'll get this one wrapped up and then we'll just wrap the other one when that hits about 160, 165. So I'm using 2 pans just to help reinforce it. There's plenty of fat left on the bottom of this, and this thing's gonna create its own juices, so I'm not gonna add any water or apple juice or anything like that. Keeping the temperature probe in because I wanna pull this when it hits about 205 degrees or when it's probe tender. So that's how I'm gonna monitor it. Oil. Gonna wrap it really tight. We wanna make sure this steams. We've gotten all the smoke flavor we want on this. Now we're gonna let it steam and baste itself in this pan. And now back in the smoker till it hits our desired temperature. Once it does, we're gonna let it rest for about an hour before we try to shred it, so we'll come back then. So it's been about 7 hours. Our first one reached an internal temperature of 205 degrees. I'm gonna lift up this foil so you can see why I use this pan. Look at all this juice. Just peel this back. Look at that. It's a lot of juice. If I would have just wrapped this in foil a couple layers, it all would have leaked out and made just an absolute mess of my smoker. But if you look, real nice color on that. That bark just looks really awesome. If I carefully spin it this way, you'll see the shoulder blade, the bone here, sticking out. I could probably just yank that out right now, but we need to let this rest. So let me get the foil back on. So I'm just gonna keep it loosely covered. We're gonna let it rest for about a half an hour. We want the muscles to kind of calm down. They're still piping hot, pushing out juice. So we need to let it rest before we cut it. Otherwise, it's gonna turn into a really dry pulled pork. All right, so our pork shoulder's been resting long enough. Let's shred it up. All right, just beautiful pork. Look at this, guys. Just pulls right out. No effort. Show you that smoke ring. Nice bark. Very nice. Look at that. Remember, this bottom side is all fat. So let's just peel that away. We're not going to eat any of that. Okay, just pulls right off. We're gonna get rid of that. Just flip it back over. You can see how that's just pulling away. No problem. Look at that bone. So that's the shoulder blade, just comes right out. It's still pretty hot, but I've got some insulated gloves on here. This is so tender. And I mean, look. Look at those pieces. It's just awesome. And I'm gonna go ahead and sauce this up right now using some Head Country Original. For this whole pork butt or pork shoulder, I'm gonna use about half a bottle of sauce. And now again, just use my hands. We'll work in the sauce. And here's a piece I'm gonna eat right now. Here we go. 8 hours total time. Let's see how it tastes. I can definitely tell a difference with these new pellets, the charcoal pellets. Much more smoky. Great flavor, super tender. So I've got one more I've got to shred up here in the smoker. But hey, if you guys like this video, you're gonna love one of these two right there. Check them out, and I'll see you over there.